Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the monthly Board of Directors meeting. It is now 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if you would join me in the invocation, please. Dear Lord, we give you thanks for the beauty of this day, for the beauty of your creation. As we see the moon and the stars and consider the wonders of this earth, we thank you for this place we call Sandy Pines and for what it means for each one of us. And now as a board and members, we meet to carry out the purposes. May we have the vision to see your purpose in our work. Give us wisdom, civility, knowledge, and courage to do that which is right. Be in our midst and bless this meeting. In your name we pray. Amen. Item number 3 is member comments. So if you would like to come up to the mic, we'll give you 2 minutes to speak and make your comments to the board. We have anyone that would like to make some comments to the board?
My name is Tom Aldridge, C23 and 349, and so I'm a double paying member, so I get 4 minutes, right? Only kidding. I want to thank the board for their service. I think you've done an outstanding job. And as a self-appointed member of the silent majority, we appreciate your service. I'd like to make one suggestion. The election is tomorrow. We've got a new fleet of new board members, and I've been concerned that we have some board members that have not filled out their term. Now, I understand there's extenuating circumstances, health or transfer, but on the other hand, you got to have a thick skin. And as a member of the silent majority, 99% support you. 1% sometimes make a lot of noise, and maybe sometimes you think they're controlling the opinion. But under any circumstance, when we vote for a member, we expect them to fill their full 3-year term. If you can't make it, or you don't want to do it, or then you have no business running for the board. And secondly, I'd like to thank our president. You've done an outstanding job. And I'd like to thank Joyce for supporting you, and more important, your daughter, who recommended that you apply for the job. So we appreciate that very much. Huh? So, and also we want to thank, as a member of the silent majority, all of your staff. They're wonderful. They're doing a good job, and you've done a good job in developing a good network of people. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
On line item 8 in tonight's agenda, I know at the planning meeting, there was a sentence in there at the beginning of the policy that said, the board reserves the right to deviate from policy when appropriate in its judgment. I'm going to ask that you please amend that and strike it out. I know that Mr. Day had asked for some clarification from the lawyer, but I don't think that that is in the best interest of the members of the park.
Anyone else?
I'm Linda Kessler from N404, and this is sort of old business, and I apologize for that, but our last 2 summers we have not been able to be here full time, so I really don't know what happened. A couple summers ago, during a board meeting, it was said that the lawyers were going to be involved in, I don't know quite what the word would be, but in this was for people who were defaming our people and saying untrue things about our board members and our president, and And so there was a lot of havoc that was being caused because of those untrue things. And so the board had made a statement that they were going to involve lawyers, and if necessary, bring something against any of these members that were actually doing that. And because we weren't here, I've never heard what happened on that. Were the lawyers ever contacted for that? Were any charges ever filed? Was anything ever done regarding that?
You're referring to 2 years ago.
Yes, it would have been 2 summers ago, I think.
We'll have to look into that. I don't recall it.
None of you were here 2 summers ago, right? I don't think you were, as I'm looking at your faces.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, who shall I contact to follow up on that?
I would contact the park president, and maybe a staff member will have to go back in the history and check that out.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Seeing no others approaching the microphone, we'll turn to our agenda. Item number 4 is the roll call, so we'll have the roll call conducted at this time.
Charles Bursk. Here. Rick Day. Here. Raj Grinwes. Here. Jenny Hager. Here. Jim Huck. Here. Dennis King. Here. Don Van Duzelar.
Here.
All present.
Item number 5 is the approval of the minutes of the regular session of July 20, 2018. We could have a motion to put this on the floor. Support. Okay, it's been moved and supported. Now, any corrections? Any comments in regards to the minutes? Okay, if none, then I will call for the motion. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Contrary, same sign. Item number 6 is the approval of new park members. We had 30 new members to welcome this past month. So we need a motion to approve this. It's been moved and supported. Any comments? Okay, then we will call for the roll call for the approval of the new minutes, or the new members.
Jim Huck. Yes. Dennis King. Yes. Don Van Duzelar.
Yes.
Charles Bursk. Yes. Rick Day.
Yes.
Raj Grinwes. Yes. Jenny Hager. All approved.
The next item is executive and personnel, comments of the chairperson. The only comment that I would like to make is that tomorrow is an important day for Sandy Pines, and if you have not yet voted absentee ballot and you will be in the park tomorrow, we would really encourage you to either come to the pavilion or on the other side of the lake and exercise your vote. So, any comments from the park president? None. Okay. Yeah. You might want to also then come tomorrow to the annual membership meeting, because I'm sure Mr. Van Koevering is going to have a lot to share with us at that meeting. Moving on to appointments, we have one to the Building and Grounds Committee.
I make a motion we appoint Karen Colburn to the Buildings and Grounds Committee. Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and supported. Any comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Item number 7, we have finance. We have the financial statements for Sandy Pines, the financial statement for the golf course, and then the recommended budget for 2018 for both Sandy Pines and the golf course. So, Jenny?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2018 financial statements for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails, and we're talking about June. It doesn't specifically say that, I see in the agenda. We met as a finance committee on Thursday, August 9 of last week, And we had all members present, which was nice because the meeting before we were a little slim. So we were able to review the check distribution for the month of June and the financial statements, and we had some good discussion. And then the next thing, I would like to also make a motion to approve the 2018 June financial statements for the golf course. Again, we reviewed the check registers and for the month of June, and the financial statements, which would be 9 months. That's a 9-month end. And they're in great shape, as well as the park financially, and doing well and seeing their numbers increase. So that's very, very good signs, and I think Gary's doing a great job. Okay, just the, okay. Sandy Pines first.
Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails, June 2018 financial statements. Sandy Pines cash position is strong once again, 85,000 of with it is strong, and within 85,000 of recovering the $1.1 million that was set aside for the FEMA project. Our sales activity in 2018 was a little bit less than 2017. It does have an effect on the overall statement, but it's encouraging that this loss in revenue is offset by other areas of operations that are bringing the net income overall in the consolidated statement to a difference of just $78,000. Current sales numbers reflect a total of 172 sites sold this year, 81 sold through the sales office and 91 sold by owner. The repair and maintenance in electric is a little bit higher than prior year. That's just due to additional repairs completed in 2018 for upkeep within the park, and fluctuates year to year. And the recreation net expense was about $20,000 less than prior year. This was specifically noted with a lower cost of labor in the recreation department. The recreation department did have a few less staff than last year. However, it did not have an effect on the operations within the rec department, but did have an effect on the statements. Those are my notes for Sandy Pines.
Any other comments on behalf of board members? Okay, if not, then we'll call for the question and ask for the roll call.
Charles Bursk,
Yeah, we got a support.
Rick Day,
Yes.
Raj Grinwis, Jenny Hager, Jim Huck, Dennis King, Don Van Duzelaar.
Yes.
All approved.
Okay, would you like to make some comments now about the golf course? Kimberly, please.
The June 2018 Lake Monterey Golf Course financial statements continues to show an increase in cash flow as well. The golf course gross revenue was up about 3%, but overall net profits were up 11%. The weather over the season this year has affected the overall series of revenue for the golf course, but operationally the expenses have been down and maintained to hold a good net income percentage.
Thank you, Kimberly. Jenny, did you make a motion for the golf course? Okay.
2018 financial statements for the Lake Monterey Golf Course.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Any other comments on behalf of board members? If not, we'll call for the question and ask for the roll call.
Raj Grinwis, Jenny Hager, Jim Huck, Dennis King, Don Van Duzelaar,
Yes.
Charles Bursk, Rick Day.
Yes.
All approved.
The next item is a review and recommendation for the approval of the 2018-19 budget for Sandy Pines and for the golf course and the operational capital budget. Yeah, were you going to make some comments, Jenny?
The Finance Committee reviewed extensively the operational budgets and capital budgets for the next fiscal year. We went line by line on a lot of items. We discussed concerns and questions if we had them, clarification. We spent several hours looking over this and making sure that we all understood the budget and agreed with the budget. And we had a unanimous vote to go ahead and approve that to the board. It's all of them at the same time? Or just, okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the budgets, operational and capital, for the golf course and for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails for 2018-19 fiscal year.
Did you get the support, Kimberly? Okay. All right. Kimberly, would you like to make some comments about the proposed budgets?
The operational budget for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails, the March 2018 Midwest CPI index was 1.8% this last year. So the 1.8% per our bylaws will be attributed to the dues and $200 capital portion, which will have an increase of $24 for the next year. There also is a proposed TV cable assessment to be changed from $129 to $136 for the next year. We have been awaiting a new negotiation or a new contract with our charter cable provider, and we did get the cable contract for 2018 in, and it resulted in close to about $14,000 increase in our cost of expense for cable within the park. With that will come new channels and new advantages to the cable network, and I believe also a guide, even though it won't be interactive, but it'll be a little bit more than what there is now. We are still waiting on the new Wi-Fi contract to come for next year, so that is still up in the air. Overall, another item I would like to note is that we are proposing an increase to the wages in the recreation staff. We have found that it is a little bit harder to maintain the staff in that department. So, and also would like to really work on encouraging them with their certifications and coverage and their oversight within that department. They've been doing a great job, but just want to acknowledge them for the work they're doing and try to retain the good staff that we have there. There are also adjustments made to the sales department budget. We increased the expectations of sales within the park as the budget was a little bit lower than what's actually coming in, and look to bring that a little bit closer to actual, but still being conservative since that market can be volatile. Within the fees for the park, we are proposing an increase to boat stickers. There have not been any increases to that within the last 3+ years. We are also looking at an increase to pump out charges and winterizations, the seepage pit, and the water on after October 15th, as well as an increase to the transfer fee for private sales and site surveys and location of boat stakes. None of those fees and charges have been increased in the last 3+ years and do take a lot of maintenance within our park staff. Looking at the capital projects within the park, we do have 5 significant projects that we are proposing for the next year, one being the reshingling of the recreation station. Another one is replacing the roof structure on CC12. That's going to be a complete replacement to that roof structure as it's in need of repair. In addition to that, we're looking to do additional repairs to the retail center. We're looking at doing the next phase of that project to move Park and Garden over to the next section. We are also looking at a path to go to and from Phase 3 from the main park. A lot of this is due to safety and concerns within the park. So we're looking at a way to get access without having to cross 26th Street. We are also proposing in that capital budget, paving the road from 26th Street to Phase 3. We have been working with Salem Township together to coordinate the efforts to get that road paved, and they have stepped forward to say that they would help us in paving that road if we can make a commitment with them next year. So we'd like to try to see if we can make that happen in the next year. For Lake Monterey Golf Course, the one thing to note there is that of the $150 assessment, which we will be in year 4 of the 10 years for, we are proposing to put a full $25 of that assessment into capital. The other $125 would stay in the operational budget. The reason we are proposing to take the full allowed $25 over is because the golf course is in high need of a well on their golf course. And that's the only note to put on the capital too, is that we're going to put all of those efforts towards, of the capital budget is towards that well replacement.
Thank you, Kim. Not only did the Finance Committee meet for several hours on this proposed budget, but likewise so did the board meet for an extended period of time and went through the whole budget, the same as the Finance Committee did the day before. So it was thoroughly vetted by the board and the Finance Committee. So any board members would like to add any comments to the proposed budgets? Okay, hearing none, we will then call for the roll call to approve the Sandy Pines, the golf course, and the capital budgets for 2018-19.
Jim Huck?
Yes.
Dennis King?
Yes.
Don Van Dueselaar?
Yes.
Charles Bursk?
Yes.
Rick Day?
Yes.
Raj Grinwis?
Yes.
Jenny Hager? All approved.
Next item on our agenda, number 8, is the motion to approve Sandy Pie's proposed policies. I'd like to have someone make a motion to put this on the floor. Moved by Jim Huck, supported by Dennis King. Just some background information. This is a rather large document. It's 45 pages. But I would like to just share some information with you in regards to that. This process began last November already in 2017. The park president's executive assistant assembled all the different individual documents that Sandy Pines had on record. And over the winter time, these were all put together. They were cut and pasted and they were all put into one final document. And I must share with you that Sandy Pines never had a unified policy up until this point in time. A number of board members reviewed parts of that proposed policy over the winter time, and they made suggestions to various parts of that proposed budget. Then beginning in April, a rough draft of what had been worked on over the winter time was emailed to the chair of the policy committee. And a month later, that same draft went to the board members, and they had the opportunity to look at that draft at the very same time. Beginning the second week of June, the policy committee began to meet weekly up until last week. So they had meetings all summer long in regards to the review of this policy. The committee went through this policy page by page, and we made a lot of suggested changes to the document. After the committee completed its tasks, then it went to the board of directors, and of course at their last work session, the board likewise went through page by page and looked at all the recommended changes that came out of the committee. Totally, I would say there was probably about 15 different people that were involved in this process since last November. So it was well vetted. And I would guess that probably if you took all the individual hours of all the committee members, the board members, the staff, I would dare say that we approached at least 100 hours of time that went into this proposed policy. So I want to give a special thanks and appreciation to the policy committee, because they met weekly all summer long up until last week to bring this policy to the board. So those are the comments I want to share with you as a matter of background, and I'll open it up at this time to board members if you would like to make a comment in regards to this policy. Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will call for the question to approve this document. Just before you do that, I should say that in the good judgment of the committee, they felt that this policy should be in 3 sections. The first policy would be employee handbook. The second policy section would be on operations, and the third section would be on board of director functioning. So it was really something that was just pertaining to the board of directors. So, okay, now we'll call for the roll call.
Charles Bursk.
No.
Rick Day.
Yes.
Raj Grenwes.
Yes.
Jenny Hager. Yes. Jim Huck.
Yes.
Dennis King.
Yes.
Don Van Duzelar.
Yes.
6-1, motion moved.
Okay, we have no old business coming before us this evening. We'll go to new business, item number 10. One is a vote on resolution 081718A to affirm a phone vote, and that was to allow the finance committee to go into executive session and the board to go into executive session when they were talking about the proposed budgets. So I need a motion to put this affirmative vote on the floor. Okay, you have a question, Kim? You're okay? Okay. So what is before you is the resolution to affirm the phone vote. Any comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The next one is a vote on resolution 01718B. It's a rules wording change. We got this from the Rules Committee last week. They have one item they would like to have added to Section 2, and it would be Arbitration Subcommittee will be made up of 3 members, 2 from the Rules Advisory Committee, and then what is new is, and 1 member at large from the pre-approved list from the Board of Directors. And then the balance of that paragraph would be struck, and what would be added in place of it would read, the chairperson of the Rules Arbitration Advisory Committee will appoint members to the arbitration panel as determined on a case-by-case basis. Additionally, the chairperson may sit on the panel as one of the 2 Rules Advisory Committee appointees as determined. And then in another paragraph, paragraph C, they propose we add the following sentence. Any citation issued during the off-season will be arbitrated at the start of the new season, and the off-season is October 15 through April 15. Was there a motion on this? Okay. We need a motion for that change. Would someone like to move that we put this before the board?
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any questions? Okay,
Roll call.
yeah, we'll do this with roll call.
Dennis King. Don Van Duzelar.
Yes.
Charles Bursk. Rick Day. Raj Grinwis. Jenny Hager. Jim Hawk. All approved.
Okay, the next item is a proposed change to the 401K plan. Jenny, could you make some introductory comments in regards to that? Oh, you, or maybe Kimberly? Kimberly, you're familiar with it.
Jean and I, over the off-season, we were actually approached by a couple providers that were interested in meeting with us regarding the 401K plan. And in looking back, it had been a while since we looked at that, probably about 5 years since we looked back at that and thought it was due time to look over the plan and make sure that everything was in accordance as our fiduciary role in that. And within that, within the off-season, we spent quite a bit of time working with I think it was possibly 5 or 6 providers that we met with individually, and half of them for second, third interviews, and selected one interview that stood apart from the rest to give our employees one of the best options for a return on their investment as they are saving away for their retirement. They come with a great advantage of education to our employees, to educate them on the importance of that. And our interest is really just making sure that we're looking out and doing the best for what they have. There weren't any major changes to the plan amendment at all. The plan document will stay in line, but this is a proposal to change the provider that we have our 401K plan with. It was currently with American Funds, and it's switching over to Bankers Trust, which is located in Iowa.
Thank you, Kimberly. Any questions or comments on behalf of the board members? Okay, then we'll do the roll call on this. Okay. Could we have a motion? Somebody like to make the motion? Okay. By Dennis King, supported by C.B. Burse.
Roll call. Don Van Duzelar.
Yes.
Charles Bursk.
Yes.
Rick Day.
Yes.
Raj Grinwis. Jenny Hager. Jim Huck. Dennis King. All approved.
Okay, this brings us up to item number 11. Yes, comments?
I have some under new business. I'd like to, this is Raj Grinwis's last official board meeting. Raj served 10 years on this board at Sandy Pines and was also very instrumental in the Veterans Memorial that we recognized his work in the spring. And the gentleman that brought up the fill one term, I think it takes I don't know if thick skin's the word or a special person, but Raj, I think it goes without saying that you should be recognized for 10 years on the board of directors, and this being your last meeting. He served in all capacities on this board, and I think we owe you a round of applause and a special thank you for all you've done. Thanks, Raj. And we have CB as well. His tenure was a little less, a year, but but nonetheless, we appreciate all your efforts to CB. I know you and I have had a lot of conversations and bounced things off each other, and sometimes it's not always comfortable bringing things up. You always brought it up, and we got things talked about and out, and so we also appreciate what you've done. So thank you for your last meeting as well.
Thank you, Rick. Now we're ready to adjourn the meeting, so we need a motion. Moved and supported that we adjourned. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.